Okay, hello friends. I'm very happy you're here. Today I'm going to be showing you guys some of the clothes that I've painted or upcycled or sewn from scratch. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things in here. I'm proud of all these pieces too. They're like laid out like a charcuterie board right here for me to go through. So that'll be fun. Some of these pieces like took days, weeks. Some of these took like hours, and I got them done like in one day. I started sewing when I was probably, I think in elementary school. Obviously it wasn't anything serious, it was just like pillowcases and fun things. But as I got older, I started to notice that clothes didn't really fit me the way that I wanted them to. I remember being in an Old Navy dressing room trying on jeggings, and the jeggings were just not fitting the way that I wanted them to, and it moved me to tears. And so after that I went home and I got out the family sewing machine and I snuck it to my room because I didn't want my mom to know that I was like making adjustments to my clothes, because you know, who trusts a middle schooler to alter their own clothes. But I ended up sewing that pair of jeggings, and then it fit me perfectly. And ever since then, I just have started doing, you know, more extravagant projects, adding more personality to my clothes, making it fit me better. And although, you know, sewing is like a traditionally like a housewife skill to have, I found that it's actually been, you know, really empowering to be able to have the ability to make my clothes fit me exactly the way that I want them to. It's just cool to know that if something, you know, doesn't make me feel confident, that I have the ability to fix it. So if you're wondering if you should get into sewing, that's your sign too. I highly recommend. I'm not gonna go through all of the things that I've sewn, because if I did that, probably like half of these things I'd be talking about. But I'm just going through some of my favorite pieces, or the pieces that I get the most compliments on, or the pieces that took like the biggest labor of love. I think I'm gonna start with one of the most boring things. Yes, this right here is a top that I got from Gap online. It was on sale for like $7, but it came in a size medium, and so when I got it, it didn't quite fit the way I wanted it to. And so what I ended up doing was adjusting this side paneling. Luckily there's like a bit of elastic here, and that made it so that it was a pretty forgiving project, and it would fit me honestly no matter what I did. I ended up cutting like the armholes right here and bringing it in a bit, making it, you know, closer to my body. And I did a little bit of adjusting right here too, so that there was more room for the bust up here. So yeah, there's a seam right here, fix some seams here, and then around the sleeve too. But I was able to leave like the neckline and most of the sleeve basically intact. So I did a lot of work for this one, but you would never really notice it, and that's okay. This one right here is also a bit more of a boring project, but it's just the brandy top. All that I did to this one was just added in this little lace right here. And that way it covers my chest, but it also had the awesome side effect of just adding more personality and sparkle to it, so I love that. And I guess the point of this is just that even if there's like a piece that everyone else has, you can still do something little to it to make it look more your own. This right here was, it is like a sheer nightgown. Originally it went down like all the way to my ankles, but I used a lot of that fabric for a dress that I'll show you a little bit later. With the rest of this, I was like, I can't just throw it away. It's literally so stunning, like the details on it. So what I ended up doing is just cutting it pretty short and then using some of the extra fabric to make, you know, pleated lining down here. But yeah, this is really cute in the summer, like over a tank top or just anything like that. So I love her very much. This piece it still needs some work done to it. Basically, this neckline, as beautiful as it is huge. And so whenever I wear it, it falls off my shoulders. And so even though it's cute, it's just not very practical to wear, and it's not very comfortable. Also because there's like this cute like keyring hole right here in the front, but whenever I wear it, it just like you can see through it, and so like most of my chest is just out at that point. So it's not incredibly ideal. So some work needs to be done to the neckline, but I added in like the elastic right here and right here. So while some things need to be fixed, there are some parts of this that I really like and are really flattering. So it just needs like another like 2 hours spent on it. And I might also make it long sleeved because a lot of the tops I make are good for like summer weather. But I don't really have any cute blouses I can wear during the winter. And you also want to feel like a princess during the winter. So I'm afraid this project is not done, but that's okay. Okay, this top right here, this one's more fun, and this one's like the most sporty thing that I've made. It's a t-shirt mixed with a jersey. I added the jersey here, and then on the back, it has the number 13, and then it says Kane right here. I embroidered that. I just don't really wear it that much, and so I'm afraid I might have to sell it. There's also these cute little bows on the bottom, and I love Ethel Kane, but just for some reason I just don't grab for this that often. I don't know if I don't like the way it fits. I'm still proud of her though. Jersey fabric is not easy to sew, and obviously I had to sew jersey fabric for this. It was a good experience to learn how to sew with fabric that stretches on you as you sew it, and how to, make sure that it doesn't end up being super like stretched. The biggest thing I learned is that you have to sew with a zigzag stitch for every single seam. You can't do straight stitches, at least on like the typical sewing machine that most people have, because if you do a straight stitch, then you won't be able to stretch the fabric later. It'll just rip the seam, like when you put it over your head or when you put your arms through it. So that's my little hack, is to always use a zigzag stitch when you're using a stretch fabric. This right here I didn't sew at all, but this is another thing that I get a lot of compliments on. It's this jean jacket, or this denim jacket, and I added in bows on the front. There's a bow right here and a bow right here, and then it says Mi Amor on the collar, and then there's just a little heart here to hide a stain that was from the previous owner. But the real magic is on the back. It's just these two bunnies kissing, and there's vines and flowers around them, and like a little heart too between them. I love this one very much. At first I was planning on selling it, and then I just was too lazy to put it online, and then I started wearing it, and like, this is my most complimented piece. And so I think it's so funny that for a while I was like, ugh, I just need to sell it, get rid of it. But now I wear it like all the time during colder months. I used acrylic paint, and then I mixed it with water. I used more water in the parts that were lighter, and then less water in like the more vibrant, or the more opaque white parts. And she's just like the perfect, like oversized, but also like a little, she's not cropped necessarily, but it's not just like a long ass jacket that you don't know what to do with. I have a lot of those. This one I also painted. This is literally just a sweatshirt that I put dots on. So when you upcycle something, it doesn't have to be like anything insane. It doesn't have to be like a complete reconstruction. It can literally just be adding polka dots to a jacket or a sweatshirt you already have. Okay, this piece originally was a little bit different. The biggest changes I did to this were the neckline and the sleeves. Originally, there was like a Peter Pan neckline right here, and it was cute, but it just wasn't very flattering, and it was a bit grandma-esque. So I ended up like plunging it down and making it way wider, and then adding this lace around the edges. And I like it way more now. I wear it a lot more. I think it'd be cute if I added some of the lace on the bottom too, but that would obviously take a hot second, and I'd have to find more of this lace. So for now, this is what we have, and I'm very proud of her. I also added these little slits in the sleeve, just so that there's more mobility when I wear it. So yeah. Okay, this right here is just like it's honestly like a pilgrim skirt. What I did though is I pleated the front, and if you want to learn how to like pleat or add pleats and clothes, the best place to start is with striped fabric, because the pattern is basically right there for you and you just have to follow along with the stripes. And so I made it so that the flower detailing is all, uniform on the front, and then underneath it slips out like the green stripes which I think is a cool little effect. And then on the back, I didn't want to do pleats all the way around and make sure that everything fit perfectly. So there's just like some elastic banding back here, which is good because if you want a project to fit you perfectly and you're not feeling very confident with it, you should add elastic, because that way it doesn't have to be a perfect fit. You can, leave some room for error, because then you can tighten the elastic, you can add more elastic. That way you don't have to spend all that time getting very specific measurements and, trying it on multiple times and making sure it fits your body. But this, I love it with just like a white blouse and cowgirl boots. It's a good one. This is another more simple project I did. Originally, it was a pair of capris, and so it reached down to quarter, probably 7 inches away from my ankles. But I decided to make it kind of into shorts / bloomers. I also added some darting here in the back just so that it would fit a bit more snugly. And then once again, there is elastic hiding in here. And so it is very forgiving with how it fits because it can stretch. And then I added in just some lace at the bottom of the pant, and it has little flowers embroidered across the whole thing. This right here, I wonder if it was I feel like it was probably either a baptism dress or a flower girl dress before, but I turned it into just a top. I basically just took the skirt of the dress, and it already had some really awesome detail on it. There's this really pretty lace on the bottom, and then there's lace right here at the neckline too. But originally that was the waist of the dress, but now it's the neckline. And I added in just these 2 straps and then some bows at the front. And then there's also an internal bra, which is really awesome because that way it looks really seamless when I wear it, because it doesn't have multiple straps, emerging from out of it. This one, I think I do need to make some adjustments to. The straps can get a little bit tight and can kind of dig into my armpit. So the goal is that I will make longer straps and then weave elastic through it, because once again, elastic saves the day. And that way I'll just have more flexibility when I move my body. Okay, now we're getting into some of my favorite pieces. This right here is the newest addition to my wardrobe. I made this literally 2 days ago. It's made from this really soft polka dot fabric that I got from a store near me. It's fun because it's a skirt, but underneath we've got bloomers. Yup. This project actually took way less time than I thought it would. It took me 5 hours, I think, which is pretty good for a sewing project that you make from scratch. I actually used these shorts as the template for these bloomers. I just added more fabric so that when I put the elastic in, it would have more of a ruffled effect. Just some elastic here for the legs, and then elastic at the waist, obviously. I wore this to go dancing, heated rivalry night, but this was a really nice piece because I could dance and I wasn't worried that everyone was gonna see my butt. So I love her very much. This is one of my favorite things that I've ever made. This is in the top 3 for sure. And they're getting quite dirty and they're getting quite torn apart because I wear them so often. But it's this pair of Route 66 pants. I quilted this lace tablecloth onto it, and it's honestly just the most fun thing I own. These pants were quite a bit of a process. I started with these white pants from the thrift store, and then what I did is I cut this seam right here and this seam right here, detached the bottom of the pant from the top of the pant, and then in the bottom of the pant I actually added a panel at the side because I wanted them to be more wide-legged. I didn't like how tight or tapered they got towards the bottom, so that took a hot second. And then also, obviously it took a while to quilt the fabric on top. I had to do a lot of seams because I was worried that the fabric would drag or pull when I wore it and that it would get messed up, and so there's seams running all the way down. One of the most fun things I did is I took the edge of the tablecloth and I used it as a lace detail right here, and of course there's a little bit at the bottom too. Originally the plan for these pants was that there was going to be lace going all the way down, and while I do think that would be fun, it also wouldn't have been a very practical piece at that point. I think it would have been a little bit too much for me to feel comfortable wearing daily. but this is just like the perfect amount where it's fun, but it's not overwhelming. And so I wear these probably like once a week or once every 2 weeks. I'd say that I probably get the most compliments on this and my bunny jacket. But that's also because I wear these things the most. If I wore some of these other things more, I'd probably get more compliments on them, duh. This is one of those things where I thought of it in my head and I was like, that would take so long, but I really want to do it. Then one day I just sat down and I did it, and the rewards are there. This right here is one of my favorite things that I've made, and I think it's a lot of people's favorite thing that I've made. It is just this baby doll top that I made. Well, I made it from scratch. I made the pattern for it, and the fabric is vintage fabric from a shop by where I live. And it has like little Valentine's Day things on it, so I wear it every Valentine's Day. But each panel has like just like a little illustration of just like a kid with a little, like, let's see, this one right here has like a kid holding flowers. This one is like a girl running with her dog with a heart next to it, and then another person holding flowers. But there's just like some fun details in this top. I have 3 bows on it, one on each sleeve and then on the front. And then the back just says Valentine, which I think is super cute. I have elastic in the front right here, but there's no elastic back here, and it makes it so that it fits really snugly. This one has been borrowed quite a few times, and it's honestly just kind of perfect. This very last piece is the piece that I'm absolutely most proud of. This right here is my senior year prom dress that I made from scratch. This dress took such a hot second. I was still working on it like, you know, like an hour before I was supposed to leave for prom. But it really just fits me like a glove. Like, it fits me so perfectly because I made this corset here, and it took me like 3 tries, but you know, I would put it on, then take it off, then put it on, take it off, and make little adjustments at a time. But by the end, I had something that fits me just like so snugly, and it lays so flat, which is really hard. It's really hard to make 2D fabric fit, you know, a 3D body, but I'm really proud of what I was able to achieve, especially I was only 17 at the time. I'd never made a corset before, but I pulled through for this. Originally, I wanted to have like cups here instead of like this, you know, ruffle, you know, all the way across. But unfortunately, that was just a bit too outside of my time frame and capabilities at the moment that I made it. The inside has like a more structured layer of fabric, and then the outside is just this more puffy fabric. And so there's still support on the inside, but you know, from the outside, it just looks like, you know, kind of like effortless and princessy. Right here, I also have ribbon running across, and this right here is actually adjustable. That way, you know, as I grow, this actually has still been able to fit me. But also, you know how like sometimes when you're wearing fabric, by the end of the day, it's just kind of like, you know, it's more stretched out than before. Well, because I was dancing so much, I was able to just tighten it. If the fabric or the ribbon, you know, kept on expanding, I could just tighten it and make it fit me better again. This zipper I sadly do need to replace because there's a little hole in it, so whenever I pull the zipper up, it gets caught. But it's still wearable, it still fits me. This layer right here is actually from an old nightgown. And then this right here is just some fabric I found. And it has this really, really pretty heart lace at the bottom. Clearly I love lace a lot. I think this is really just probably one of my most perfect pieces. There's nothing I would change about it except for like replacing the zipper, but that's not really a problem with the dress. That's just because I loved it so much that I wore it. I also think that all the fabrics that I used in this dress complement each other super well. You know, there's pink right here at the edge and pink right here at the top, so that there's, you know, continuous themes of the pink. And the white also just, it's really pretty, and it just makes me feel kind of like a fairy princess, I suppose. Yeah. Originally there was also another layer right here, but it was just looking way too cupcakey when I tried it on the first time, so I ended up cutting it. But now it has like this cool like little tiny sheer lace detail right there, so that ended up being like a good little happy accident. Okay, that's everything. Yeah, I don't know, like these things are just art, like the same way that my paintings are my art, but this is just more fun because I, you know, in this case I get to wear my art. where literally I get to wear my art. And if you have any questions about any of these things, I'd also love to answer those. So feel free to ask. Okay, I hope you enjoyed. Bye.